You're listening to Lore Friendly. I'm your host, Chris Takahashi, and with me, as always, is Alice Bell. Say hello, Alice.
Hi. I've been drinking wine again.
Oh, okay. I hope this isn't the start of a problem for you, that we're going to need to make an intervention or something like that.
Mate, I sleep with a bottle of vodka by my bed every night.
Yeah, I'm
past the point of help.
Yeah, I'm more worried about this consistent use of the word mate.
It's... Right, we figured it out. It's because my housemate's boyfriend says it, and she started saying it, and because I talk to her a lot, I've started saying it.
Yeah,
so
you're gonna need to fix that.
Yeah, I started using it ironically, and then it just kind of devolved.
Yeah. There's better words out there, like moist.
I'm still not saying that. We've been going for 16 episodes now, and you still haven't managed to make me say it.
Yeah, I've given up.
Good.
I just need to keep saying it over and over again so you pick it up.
No, that's when I hang up and stop recording. And I never talk to you again.
Yeah, that's true. First thing I want to talk about, Stephen Moffat. Have you heard the news?
Mate, I was dancing in the streets. Sorry, duck. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch oh witch, the wicked witch. I was so happy.
He's still gonna do one more season though, right?
Yeah. But then after that, he's confirmed that he's leaving, and that's all I wanted out of life. This is the best start to the new year imaginable.
Do you know anything about the new guy, the new
Kris
writer?
Chibnall. He wrote a lot of the... He was like the head writer, pretty much, for the first season of Torchwood, which is the Doctor Who spin-off that came out in 2000... I want to say 2008. I think it might have been 2008, 2009. It was basically like the adult version of Doctor Who with cheesy sex aliens. Like the second episode in the series was about a lusty sex monster that possesses humans and has sex with people, and then the people who it has sex with explodes.
Nice. That's my kind of writer.
This is the kind of shit that I want in Doctor Who. This is what I want in my wholesome family entertainment.
Doctor Who is like weirdly asexual. I mean, because it's designed for kids, or it was originally designed for kids and adults. So there's not really much of that sexual tension going on between the... Well, there was kind of that with Billy Piper and David Tennant.
And Matt Smith's Doctor just didn't know boundaries, so he was just snogging everyone, and it was like...
Well, Matt Smith was kind of weirdly asexual. He just doesn't seem like someone who would ever have sex.
He had sex with Billy Piper in Secret Diary of a Call Girl.
Oh, really?
Like, she's the most lucky companion. She's managed to get off with 2 doctors.
Yeah. Nice. Kudos to Billy Piper.
But he played like a really awkward like first timer who didn't really know about how to go about hiring an escort. So he basically played his Doctor Who character.
Yeah, the whole relationship with him and River Song.
I never bought that.
It was just no chemistry at all.
See, with the Christmas episode with Peter Capaldi, like I actually bought it a bit more. Like I was like, if we got more of this River Song,
right,
then I might have enjoyed the season 6 arc a bit more. But we didn't, because she was trying to play off of Matt Smith and there was just nothing there.
Yeah. With Peter Capaldi, I mean, for one, they're the right age for each other. I mean, I guess that's kind of weird because, I mean, older women should be able to date younger guys. But I think it's more of Matt Smith just lacking
Matt
sexuality.
Smith played a child. Yeah. Matt Smith played an actual child.
Yeah, so the personality
who got angry sometimes.
And just everything about that relationship, it just seemed off to me.
Yeah. It was almost kind of creepy the way that River acted with him when you consider that Matt Smith's Doctor was very immature and childlike and stuff like that. I just think it never read right to me.
Yeah. Everything with River Song that season was just...
Well, yeah, that River Song was just off, to be honest. But, you know.
Well, thankfully we won't have any more of those problems on Doctor Who. Hopefully. Still have Sherlock, though.
You're transitioning a bit quickly. I want to talk a bit more about Kris Chibnall. I've just been watching Ashes to Ashes. It's a show that came out in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
It stars John Sim, and basically John Sim is like a modern DCI, and he gets put into a coma and gets sent back to the 70s. because reasons, and it's really good how he manages, because like you don't know if he's in a coma or not. I've not finished, so don't spoil it in the comments, please. If anyone comments.
No one will comment. I think you're safe.
Okay, good.
I think the chances of one of our 200 subscribers.
It's almost 300.
Oh, it is.
I checked the count. I checked the count. No, lost my train of thought. But the way that he manages to do this, he manages to make this completely realistic and visceral world of the 1970s and evoke the attitudes and everything like that, while still managing to put a modern slant on it and still managing to have like this trippy element of, is any of this real? Like you manage to get lost in the drama of this episode, but there's always this niggling feeling at the back of your head like, hang on, this isn't really happening, is it?
Right, and so that's analogous to Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think that could be. I think that could be a very nice twist on the whole Doctor Who thing. Like, I know we've had a couple of trippy Doctor Who episodes, but I'm always good for more. Is it real? Isn't it real? Stuff.
Well, anytime you change the writer or the head writer, you're gonna have a different direction, a different voice. Like, even if you have the same script and you have a different director, like they have some of these projects where they have a single script and like 4 different directors, and then the end product ends up completely different for each one. So anytime you change the people in charge, you're basically going to have a completely different show, and so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see which way it's going to be going, and hopefully it won't be as horrendous.
You're going to have people who grew up on Moffat who are going to hate the new guy. They're going to be like, oh, I wish Stephen Moffat were still here. The same way people pine for Russell T Davies.
I went on the Gallifrey Reddit, which is like the mature discussion Reddit for Doctor Who. And everyone was like, oh, I'm really upset that Stephen Moffat's leaving. Like, in a couple of years, we're going to have people saying, oh, wish we had Stephen Moffat back. It's going to be like Russell T Davies all over again. And I'm like, no, it can't be. It really can't be. I don't accept that.
Well, there's actually people who miss the Star Wars prequels, so nostalgia really helps. I don't know. Like, whatever's the new thing, people are gonna hate it. People are always gonna love the old thing and hate the new thing. I've seen that trend recently a lot. Like, the same thing is true for Fallout 4 and Fallout 3. Like, Fallout 3 is a vastly thinner game than Fallout 4, but people are still pining for the old game. So it's just, it's weird.
It's like I still miss Oblivion until I actually play it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, the potato faces. Oh my god, the voice acting.
Yeah, time goes by, you sort of forget all the like little parts that annoyed you, and you just remember it as something like an enjoyable experience.
You just remember the really good quests, like basically the only thing that I remember when I think of Oblivion is the whodunit quest, where you go around Agatha Christie style, killing everyone and accusing everyone else of killing each other. That is literally the only thing I remember about Oblivion, and it still makes it one of my favourite games until I go back and play it.
Yeah, I think my favourite quest was a quest that you normally wouldn't do because you have to turn into a vampire. There's the Cure for Vampirism quest.
Oh, I hated that.
The ending was really sad.
Yeah, the ending was quite sad, but you have to go around finding soul gems and garlic.
Oh, see, now that you explain it, it sounds really tedious. See, I don't remember it that way. That's the thing. You don't remember it that way. Like, I think right now we're in that backlash phase for Fallout 4 where people are on their second and third playthroughs, and then it's just like, oh, now this is getting really tedious because I'm doing the same thing for like 300 hours. And then, like, 4 or 5 years from now, people are going to forget all that tedium, and they're just going to remember what was good about it. So
yeah.
It's the way it goes.
I'm looking forward to seeing what people are going to backlash against if the new Elder Scrolls comes out at any point ever.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing what the backlash is for that.
In 2020, we'll find out.
That's fucking miles away. Actual years away.
Speaking of things with huge gaps between them, Sherlock.
Jesus Christ. Right, the first half of the episode, I loved it. I was totally drawn into it. I think I preferred Victorian Sherlock to actual Sherlock.
Yeah, because I think that time fits him better because there's more detectiving, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
There's no forensics, there's no scientific aids to help detectives solve cases or close the gap between them and Sherlock. And so his genius kind of stands out all the much more.
Yeah.
And so the Victorian era is probably much more apropos for Sherlock, I think.
I also felt that I just preferred the way that his character acted within the Victorian setting, because obviously the polite Victorian society was built on always being polite to each other's faces, no gossiping or anything like that. And so it was really interesting to see his character, which is, as he describes himself, a high-functioning sociopath, but trying to function within this highly restrained, composed society. And you could see him almost trying to... I thought it was wonderful how Benedict Cumberbatch acted it, bless it. It was the way you could see that he was barely tolerating everyone, but still putting on this polite veneer. I felt it was just so much more compelling than his whole "I hate everyone, people are stupid" spiel that he has going on in the modern setting, because it's a bit more acceptable then, because, you know, being
right, he's
antisocial.
just another guy.
Yeah.
He's just another mate.
Shut up, fuck off. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I did like the setting. I like this general story. The fact that, spoiler alert, certain people who were hinted to be alive remain dead.
Thank fuck.
Yeah. So I like the whole general plot and the direction that the story is going. There was that whole weird, like, feminist angle.
That wasn't even feminist, though. Feminism is about giving, like, the sexes an equal voice and everything like that. And we had to have Sherlock explain it to us. Like, they didn't give these female characters who are shown within the context of the story as striving for their own personal voice. They didn't give them that voice, they gave it to Sherlock. They were like, right, so... I know in detective stories they need that moment where the detective explains everything, but they could have done some kind of subversion on it, perhaps? Where he comes to a conclusion and the women are like, wait, no, mate, come on. Fuck, I've done it again!
Yeah. Right. Right. There's two problems with it. The first problem is the people who we're supposed to sympathize with, the people who are being discriminated against, are murderers.
Yeah.
So they're killing people. So it's like, okay, I'm supposed to sympathize with this person. She's obviously being discriminated against, but at the same time, she just killed a guy. She just shot a bunch of people in the street. Like,
and we're given no real reason. As like it's a he says, oh, he mistreated her. We don't know whether mistreatment is, I don't know, him not saying his please and thank yous, or making a snide mark to Maury's mother, or we don't know if it's him slapping her around or anything. Like, we don't know what kind of abuse it is.
Right, it's the cardinal sin of telling instead of showing.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's the fact that there's this underlying thing about how he's trying to say, oh, these women are mistreated, that they don't get equal opportunities, but in the very show that we're watching, it's a show dominated by white men, it's a show about white men, written at a time where women were discriminated against. So it's very awkward, and it was just the wrong vehicle, I think. If he was trying to write something to show that, you know, I can write a story for women about women, because I think there's this general criticism about how he writes his female characters.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a very vocal critic of that.
So if you're going to try and respond to that by making a show about women, you don't use Sherlock as your vehicle. I just...
No. They had Mary there. They could have had Mary try and sympathise or empathise or just do something. Like, they have written a decent female character in Mary, but they didn't use her. They had to go off to Mycroft and say, oh, keep an eye on him. And that was it.
They did do that hacking thing where she would constantly one-up Mycroft, but I don't know. It felt like they were just trying too hard. It didn't feel natural.
Yeah. I don't think he understands feminism, just in general. Well, he presented his feminists as being psychopathic murderers with no remorse. Yeah. So I think that on some level shows some kind of misunderstanding of what a lot of people regard feminism as being.
Yeah.
So I think that's a slight issue that he might want to look into when he's writing the next series for 2020 or whenever it next comes out.
I think if he wants to do something that supports women's rights and is for equal opportunities for genders, he needs to come up with a new show with a strong female lead, I think.
Femlock.
Well,
Femlock and Joanna Watson.
Look, that's the part of the problem. It's an industry-wide problem where we're making shows based on established male characters and then just trying to flip the gender instead of actually making up new shows starring strong women. Yeah, it's just...
I would love to see what he would have done if he was given Jessica Jones to write or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that would have been hilarious, offensive, and horrifying, all at the same time.
So, game of the month, have you, or actually, you must have played it.
Yes, I did play it.
I was going to ask you if you played Pony Island, which is...
Yes, I have played Pony Island. Because you haven't?
No, I did. So, what did you think of the game?
We have had an influx of, like, trippy indie games recently. Like, fourth wall breaking. I don't know how to describe them. Like, they're more than fourth wall breaking. They're meta.
Yeah, very meta.
They're very meta. Like, we had Undertale, which Game of the Year for me, which played with the idea of, is it, like, of conscience in RPGs and whether there is a route that you can take that doesn't involve violence in many traditional RPGs and stuff like that. It questions the whole notion of... I've lost my train of thought.
Of killing for the sake of killing and making your character stronger.
And grinding, And it was really effective at that. Pony Island is a different beast altogether because it doesn't present any moral questions.
Right.
It just fucks with you. Right, for starters, on the store page... it says, this isn't just like any other game. So, like, if you go onto the store page and you think, oh, I want to try out this pony jumping fences sim, and then you see on the page that it says, oh, it's like nothing you've ever played before and stuff like that, then you're immediately set with this expectation of, oh, I've got to expect something a bit trippy or a bit weird, whereas Undertale never had any of that. It was just presented as being Earthbound-style RPG. So I think that already set my expectations for it. Like, I knew that it was...
Yeah, that's weird. On the one hand, you don't want to spoil the fact that it's a trippy game, but on the other hand, you don't want consumers to actually buy the game for, like, their kids, thinking it's going to be about ponies.
Especially considering some of the trippy stuff that happens in it. It was really quite... I was terrified, and I knew that there was going to be some creepy shit in there.
Yeah, I think it's a really brilliant game as far as setting an atmosphere and just creating this whole tension via the use of old game mechanics, menus.
Yeah.
The whole interface is kind of like an old Windows 95 screen, and all the game menus are like 8-bit Nintendo type menus, and I don't know what you call the music, but it's like this kind of vibration noise that helps really set the mood.
The whirring. It sounds like an old rusty computer trying to cling to dear life. It sounds a bit like my laptop, to be fair.
Yeah. Just everything about it feels like, in a way, analogous to like a haunted house, I guess, because it's old, it's just creepy, and you don't really know what to expect. And so I really like that part of it. The one part that sort of kind of threw me off is the second half goes into this like humor slant. And I would have really liked to see the game as a complete horror game, as just totally immersive horror game instead of just kind of trying to do two things at once. I'm not really sure if the humor hurts the game, even though it's funny and great. There's this one part where you shoot Jesus and it's like, you killed Jesus, and
I actually thought that bit was quite effective. It was the bit just before that, I think. So it's about a half-hour stream of just playing the jumpy fence levels, and you're going around this adventure. It's like Mario, It's like
Right.
Super Mario where you travel through the lights.
And
I thought that was the least effective part of the game because it changed this antagonist from being all-powerful, absolutely terrifying, messing with your interface, to this kind of bumbling programmer.
Right.
Like, if you read the dialogue that he puts on the screen, he's like, oh, I'm really proud of this, and, oh, just wait a second whilst I build this up for you. He reminded me of Wheatley from Portal 2.
Yeah, and the whole reveal that he's the devil and he's Satan, and it's...
Spoilers!
Oh, spoiler alert. No, because it's not much of a spoiler. The whole thing, it's plastered all over the game.
Yeah.
And so, whenever you use the devil or use Satan, it's kind of like using Hitler.
Yeah.
It's a bit for comic effect. And when I first started playing the game, I was terrified. I was like, oh my god, who is this, like, evil voice?
Yeah.
And it's just like,
I felt
when you leave it up to the human imagination can come up with so many more terrifying things than the devil.
Yeah,
or
I think if it had been this undefined, malevolent spirit, then the whole game would have been much more terrifying.
Yeah, and the whole aspect of who killed you, how you died.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done. I really liked that. I didn't
Yeah.
like that the password for the first one was Balthazar. So it was like, yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head here. You're really hammering it in. You're going to break through my desk.
Yeah, so I thought the game overall was incredibly brilliant. I thought the mechanics, the idea, the whole concept, and even the humor was really funny. It's just, I'm not sure that...
They blended together well.
Yeah, I really would have liked to see this game just done as a horror game.
Yeah.
I think it would have been legendary had that been the case. But overall, I thought it was really good.
I will say that the probably final 20 minutes of the game is probably one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had in gaming. It's the second to last boss fight. It's very fourth wall breaking. You hear Skype notifications and you hear Facebook notifications and text messages and stuff like that you hear. It's just incredible how it does it. I really felt that part of the game was what the whole game should have been, like this whole mind fuckery, playing with the interface, and some of the stuff that it does there is incredibly clever, and props to the programmer, to whoever made it, because the way that he does it was so realistic and so mind-bending that I was just lost. It was incredible.
And I don't think that there isn't a place for humor. Like, even in any scary movie, you have those moments of levity which help balance things out. I'm just not sure.
Oh, Johnny, you scared me! Ah!
Yeah, I'm just not sure if it needed this amount of humor into it. Just the whole concept, you can tell, is sort of just ponies, LOL, you know?
Yeah.
It didn't need the ponies. It didn't need to take it to that extreme. It should have just been, like, small moments of levity, then drawing you back into, like, just the whole darkness and the malevolent spirit thing. And, I would have liked that game.
It had a wonderful beginning and a wonderful ending, but the middle bit was a bit all over the place, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah. But still a great game, and a game that everyone should play.
It's, what, £3? I think I paid £3.54. No, £4 because I got the soundtrack, because why not? I always... So, £4, or is it around $6? Something like that for you guys?
Yeah, so basically just buy that game.
Yeah,
buy Pony Island.
It's worth it for
it's
worth it for a couple of hours
$1.
entertainment, yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a link on the description.
Gotta support those indie devs now.
That's the thing about indie developers. They're willing to take risks. They're willing to do things that are out of the box.
Yeah.
Because they can't just load up their game with graphics and shooting mechanics.
They have to be clever about it.
Yeah. And what comes out are just like brilliant games.
Yeah.
And so really excited for the indie dev scene. It's kind of become like how the movies are, where the movies have those big blockbuster movies that are just there to
follow the same formula, hit the same beats.
Which is fine. I mean, it's like popcorn for the mind. But then there's also the indie movies, which really take chances and have like really intense and complicated dramas. And,
beyond the usual blockbuster style.
because they can't rely on special effects
Yeah.
and things like that. Okay, scale of Game of Thrones characters. What do you rate this game as?
Vargo Hoat, the one who speaks with a lisp about Thathive in the books. He's not in the TV show.
Wait, he did what now?
He speaks with a lisp about Thathive.
I am not going to remember any of the book characters.
And he's really terrifying, and he tries to do something to Brienne. I can't speak with a lisp. Funnily enough. So Vargo Hoat, the terrifying leader of the Brave Companions, I want to say. It's been a while since I've thought about him. The terrifying guy who tries to do horrible stuff to Brienne and speaks with a really funny lisp.
I'm going to say Varys.
Ooh.
Because he's kind of like a big pony. He does... He does some dark things behind the scenes. He has a few moments of levity with Tyrion. You don't really know what he is, but you know that he's good.
He's a pony! Oh my god. I'm never going to get that image out of my head now. Just Conleth Hill's face on a little stubby little pony.
So, on a rating of Game of Thrones characters, I'm going to give it a Varys. You're going to give it a character nobody
Vargo
remembers.
Hoat.
A character nobody
Which is
remembers.
nowhere near as impressive or amusing as the image of Varys on a really fat pony. Like, I just can't deal with that image in my head. It's wonderful.
So, Dragon's Dogman came out,
Woof woof.
finally.
Rawr.
Have you played the game?
No.
That's right.
You know that my PC is shit. It
You could
started
play it on
lagging with
PS3.
Skyrim now. Of all
I haven't
things.
actually played it on PC either, so...
It came out a couple of years ago, and the one that's just come out is like a digital remaster with extra missions, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I played the version on PS3 before Dark Arisen came out too, so that is also like an expanded DLC. So the game now that you're gonna buy is just even more impressive. And
always good to get additional content.
yeah, and Dragon's Dogma kind of flew under the radar because I think it's a Japanese RPG.
Yeah.
Or it was made by Japanese developers. Even though it's, as far as genre goes, it should be a Western fantasy RPG.
And going by the designs of the dragons and stuff that I looked up 15 minutes before we started recording, it's definitely got a Western influence to it.
Yeah.
In the designs of the dragon.
And it's an open world RPG. It's really fun. What sets it apart from most open world games is just the combat. The combat is incredible.
Ooh.
I'm trying to go off 2 years of memory here. I haven't played the game in like 2 or 3 years, but you could climb up the back of these large giants. The magic is varied. Each class is completely different from the other in terms of strengths and weaknesses. The way you can customize your class, just all the different ways of tackling the same problem, which is just fighting a bunch of beasts. It's really, really impressive. And so play Dragon's Dogma. It's a really great game. Story gets a little wacky toward the end, but
that's what we like.
Yeah, that's typical of Japanese developers.
Yeah.
It's just a little nuts, but the actual game is really creative and really impressive. So play it.
I'll have to check it out once my PC stops being a bitch, basically.
Yeah. I heard you can run Fallout 4 on a laptop, though. It's just like the minimum specs are a lie. Like, you should try it. If
yeah,
you
but
use
that
the
would
texture
mean
optimizers.
buying a 30 quid game and perhaps not being able to play it.
Yeah. But
which I'm not willing to do.
There's also texture optimizers, too. But yeah, anyways, go ahead. You're going to say something about dragons.
So, in the spirit of Dragon's Dogman, I decided to look into dragons because I felt that we needed to really scrape the bottom of the barrel for topics. Because Tumblr didn't help me. Screw you, Tumblr.
You don't want to get on Tumblr's bad side.
No.
It'll absolutely destroy you.
I do like Tumblr. I've been spending way too much time on it. Anyway, so our modern Western concept of the dragon, which is the archetypical idea of a winged creature with legs, lizard-like, is only a concept that's come about in the Middle Ages, so 12th, 13th, 14th century. So the predecessor of the Western dragon is the serpent, which is generally portrayed in Western literature as being a malicious creature that appears across multiple Germanic mythologies and pantheons. So the most evidence we can get for this is through Norse mythology, using the Poetic Edda and Snorri's Edda. So there's the background for the sources, guys. If you want to go check them out, I would highly recommend them, because Norse mythology is weird as hell. Loki turns into a female horse. That's all I've got to say. Right, so we have the most famous example of a Norse serpent is Jormungandr, the world serpent, which is the child of Loki that circles the world and is prophesied to eventually die in battle with Thor. So Thor kills him, he kills Thor, everything goes to shit. So in the Gylfaginning, which is the first book in Snorri's Edda, is referenced multiple times, hindering heroes as he lives in the sea. So any sea voyage, they say, oh, watch out for that world serpent. And Thor has attempted to fight him multiple times.
Good for Thor.
Yeah. He just likes to get himself into shit, to be fair. He's a right little dickhead. Fafnir is the son of a dwarf who turned into a serpent/dragon to protect his father's cursed gold, and the gold is cursed because of a ring that was cursed by another dwarf, because Loki was being a bit of a bitch, and he tried to take all this dwarf's gold, and then Loki gave the ring to these other dwarves, and Norse mythology's weird. Okay?
It sounds weird.
Yeah.
Anything with dwarves.
Interestingly, loads of the names of Tolkien's dwarves come directly from Snorri's Edda. Frodo, Gimli. No, Aragorn isn't in there. They've got loads.
You just call Frodo a dwarf.
No, but Frodo's name is in Snorri's Edda, and the hobbits are practically dwarves anyway. Only they don't have beards.
Dwarves with big feet.
I imagine that dwarves have pretty big feet anyway.
It's all the same.
But anyway, this discrepancy between the idea of a serpent and a dragon in the legend of Fafnir arises because Snorri's Edda is accredited to being from the 13th or 14th century, which is right in the middle of the Romantic tradition, where we see the popular image of the modern dragon arising. And not only do we get dwarfs' names from Snorri's Edda, we also get the idea of the dragon's treasure being protected, as is seen in The Hobbit, and the idea of a cursed ring, which is seen in The Lord of the Rings, which makes sense because Tolkien was a Old English/Old Norse professor at Oxford and wrote his stories drawing from that. He basically wrote his tales as a means to put across his new language that he invented, which is based on Old English and Old Norse. And a bit of Latin.
So he's kind of pissed that his stories are what got him famous. He's like, God, why aren't you looking at this amazing language I've made up? Why isn't that famous? Why don't you make a movie about that?
Or why aren't you looking at all my academic texts? God.
Yeah. Why aren't more people speaking my special language I made?
In fairness, they did in the films, they did actually get someone to get the actors to make sure that they pronounce everything.
I'm sure
right.
when Tolkien wrote it, he's like, "This is going to replace English," and now he's confused because nobody's speaking.
Yeah, because we're not regressing Tolkien. He'd be turning in his grave.
Yeah, so instead they're selling plastic Frodo dolls at Toys R Us for £4.
And then finally in Old English there are multiple instances in the Exeter book, which is probably the biggest collection of Old English poetry that we have. There's repeated across a lot of these poems and eulogies is this image of being bound by serpents, which in Old English is Bindathesta.
Bethesda.
Bindathesta.
Okay.
Although it does sound like Bethesda. Maybe they got it from there. Maybe Bethesda are bound by serpents. But it basically feeds into this idea of serpents as being malicious creatures and stuff like that. And the binding of serpents is an image that appears in lots of wood carvings, lots of stave churches, which are wooden churches, and lots of recovered stones from the period, which feature Celtic knots and stuff like that. So basically, serpents are bad in Western mythology.
I see.
Yeah.
The TLDR version. Serpents
and basically, the most famous medieval dragon that we probably have is from the legend of St. George, which saw a revival in the 13th to 14th century with the romantic traditions of chivalry and King Arthur and the Morte d'Arthur and stuff like that. But there is evidence suggesting that the actual tale has existed since the 7th century. But in the medieval version, the dragon is a venomous plague bearer, so you see the reference to serpents there, who accepts sacrifices of sheep and children to leave the village alone, which can be seen as an analogue for medieval fears regarding plague, because obviously the Black Plague was in the late 13th century, so if this tale interwove with that, then it's the whole idea of tales reflecting contemporary fears and stuff like that. And basically, St. George offers to slay the dragon, but only if the villagers convert to Christendom, because he's a bit of a dick like that. He's not all like, don't worry guys, I'll help you out. He's like, guys, I really want to help you out, but you're kind of not the same religion as me. Like, where is the Good Samaritan in all this? Why are we supposed to revere this saint? He's a bit of a dick.
They should have just sacrificed some more children, then they would have been alright.
The Good Samaritan, right? He helped out Jesus even though Jesus wasn't of the same religion as him. Why does St. George get to be any different from this Good Samaritan? What makes him better than him, eh? Yeah. Why are we seeing him as a hero?
I don't know. If I were this village guy, I would have just said, screw you, George. I'm sacrificing this kid over here. Sacrifice Frank's kid. He's a brat.
He's a real dick.
He's fucking annoying. Let the dragon eat him. We'll have another 100 years apiece.
Yeah, that is how it should have gone. And maybe the country's... It's not even set in England, to be fair. It's set off on the continent for some reason. I don't know. Our St. George isn't even English.
Well, anyways, George slayed the dragon?
Yeah, George slayed the dragon, but the dragon tried to spit poison.
Do you have to bring any proof?
No, I don't think so. The dragon tried to split poison on him, but he hid under an orange tree.
Oh, okay.
Because
I gotta remember that
knows
next time
that,
I play Skyrim.
Yeah. Because everyone knows that oranges are the best defense against venomous, poisonous dragons. Yeah. And yeah, he basically survived, and then he became a saint.
Ah.
And then he shared his birthday with Shakespeare.
Nice.
So, there we go.
At least then no one's going to remember his birthday.
There we go.
It's a good bit of revenge that he was born on the same day as Shakespeare. I imagine him up in heaven now. He's like, no one remembers my birthday. Everyone's all like, hey, guess whose birthday it is? And then his little eyes brighten up, and they're like, it's William Shakespeare's birthday. And he's like, oh, poor George.
But Shakespeare gets it even better because he died on that day as well. So that's like the day that he went up to heaven. So he's like, double birthday, double death day, shot. That's how heaven goes. Like, they take shots.
I converted all these villagers to Christianity, and this is the thanks I get. Thanks a lot, God.
What did he do? He only made innumerable contributions to the English language. God.
I slayed this dragon.
Dragons aren't real, you dickwad. You dingus.
So.
Yeah, dragons. Roar.
That's it for this episode of Lore Friendly. We've gone over.
Next time we'll be more prepared. Maybe.
Yeah, I think we were pretty prepared this time.
Really?
Editing will make us sound very prepared.
Yeah.
It will get rid of all my stammering and make your commentary seem very streamlined.
Yeah. Instead of, and please edit out some of the mates. I said it so much.
Yeah.
It's ruining my life.
That's part of the charm, mate.
Good eye, mate. I'm from Australia.
You need to stop the source of the problem, which is your roommate's boyfriend. You need to break them up somehow.
Well, she has taken to sleeping in my bed in the morning, so
Okay. Great. Lovely. All right. So
after that,
tune in next time where we talk about, I don't know.
When we talk about
Something.
how I've ruined my housemates' relationships. Yay!
Yes. We'll get a progress report on that
Yeah.
whole sabotage.
Yeah.
plan.
Just all in the aim of making me stop saying mate.
The more you say it, the more it's gonna get embedded into your
Yeah.
head.
I need to start
Your very
saying
soul.
I need to start saying duck again.
We're gonna carve it on your tombstone. Alice Bell, a good mate.
And it can't even be the actual mate, it's gotta be M8.
Just like a proper
Yeah.
shav. Alright, say goodbye, Alice.
Bye mate.